Welcome, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. I'm your host because I've heard that people are confused why I keep introducing myself as a producer. So I'm your host, Dan Legendson, joined again by the agent of chaos here, Moses. Moses, previously on the Loud and Drunk podcast, you wanted to talk about remakes while we were talking about Top Gun. So I figured now is a great opportunity to open that conversation back up. Do you have anything nice to say about remakes to open this up?
Not terribly. On the way here, I was trying to think of one, and the only one that came to mind that even stood a chance of being considered good was Fury Road. But that's not really a remake. It's a
sequel.
It's a sequel. So no, they're all bad. It stinks.
All right, we might want to call you Jay Sherman for this podcast then.
So these are dated jokes, but okay.
How many times do we mention the critic on this podcast?
Too many times, Dan. No one knows what we're talking about.
Fine, then I'll talk about wrestling from here on out.
I'm also happy to report that Justin is back.
Hi.
And I missed you terribly in the last podcast because you don't know what you got until it's gone. And trying to wrangle these cats without a second person is nigh on impossible.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very glad to be back. And I am sorry that I had to leave. I very much wanted to hear what Kim had to say about MRI accidents and stuff like that, but I heard the cat's got out of the bag a little bit. So I am here to exert my false dominance on these yucks, and let's get this show going.
Speaking of yucks, we switched off of MRIs because these cats are all about the scans.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
There it is.
Wow.
Waka, waka.
Don't give it any attention. Move it along.
Frustrating. And I am Jimmy Davenport. It's wonderful to be here.
Oh, Jesus.
What? Do you and I know each other, sir?
I've read your bathroom stalls.
Yeah. Let's listen. If you need my number, we can talk after the show.
I do need it so I can block it.
I'm ready for action, I'll tell you that.
But before we get into all of that, I want to just talk to you briefly. Are you doing all you can to take care of yourself while you're online? Are you truly protected? Well, we can't help you because we don't have a VPN sponsor. But you can become a sponsor by subscribing to this podcast. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Help us out by giving us a 5-star review. By the way, you can actually give us a 5-star review on Facebook, too. So if you're following us on Facebook, please do so as well. We are also on YouTube and Rumble, so be sure to smash that like button, leave us a comment, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channels. We want you to be a part of this conversation, so join us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you like this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter on Locals at loudanddrunk.locals.com. So, gentlemen, I have another thought experiment to begin, another podcast.
I love these.
So, what I want you to do for this thought experiment, I want you to pick one profession that if you could do away with, not in terms of it goes away, but if you could just go the rest of your life without ever having to deal with it again, just one. That's the one you pick. Also, we can't all pick the same one. So whoever goes first...
Cops.
There we go.
Cops.
So I was going to let you go first anyway, Mr. Davenport.
I feel very passionate
Because
about
Davenport is very passionate.
I am, yeah. And as a lifelong criminal, my name is Jimmy Davenport.
What's your social there, Jimmy Davenport?
Listen, we're going to talk again after the show.
All right.
Well, it's a Davenportant decision. So I'm glad that you...
God damn it.
This is a good one. We're going to get whatever the equivalent of a Grammy is for podcasts.
What is the equivalent of that? Should I describe my distaste for the police?
Well, is everyone...
Yeah, by all
everyone
means.
got it down?
By all means.
Oh,
yeah.
Then absolutely. You have the floor, Mr. Davenport.
What is wrong with the police?
No, go on, please. The simplest version of it would be that my run-ins with the police have not always been the most pleasant of experiences. I have a general problem with the concept of, I look at it where I compare it, the profession that you've chosen to choices that I would make. And I feel like that when one chooses to enter into that particular career, you've also made the decision that you want to tell people how they should be living. And if it was all like, fucking roses, then it would just be that you're stopping murderers and rapists and doing the job as we would like to imagine, the heroicism of the job. But in practice, a lot of times you're just collecting money for the government, but you're doing it with a gun on your hip, which makes you a little bit worse than somebody working for the IRS, which is something that none of us really care for. So my general sentiment about it would just be along those lines, that essentially the job of a police officer is more or less to collect money for the government at every level that the government exists, just to line their own, pockets, coffers, so on and so forth. And oftentimes what it involves is removing freedoms from individual people. Again, if the job that you're doing is right, if you're doing your job well and you're allowed to do your job well as a police officer, God knows there's good cops out there, but you're still kind of bound to this system. So if you're doing it right, then yeah, you're stopping bad people, you're helping good people, insofar as what that means. And that is a good thing. And you do need that in a society. The reality of it is that when you're being paid by the state, when you're an arm of the state, and in this case, you're an armed vessel of the state, then you're probably going to be going about your day-to-day routine in such a way where you're basically, going up to somebody with a sidearm and telling them that you need something out of them, which, in other cases, you just call that robbery. And that's my general perspective on it. I feel like of the other professions that I don't like, where they leave a dirty taste in your mouth, they don't have the gun, and that makes it a little bit different. I'm not a huge fan.
Davenport, I was expecting you to actually be even more aggressive, knowing your past interactions.
A lot of crimes.
A
lot of crimes.
All the crimes.
Yeah, a villain.
I have 2 questions. It's a 2-part. Why are you such a terrible criminal that you keep getting caught? And
I'm an idiot.
Why do you hate guns?
I'm sorry, what?
Why do you hate guns?
Why do I hate guns?
Yes.
Guns are only used to murder people. They're not used for any other purpose. Usually children.
They murder animals, too.
No, that is not true. That is a misnomer from a big firearm.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not an advocate of that line of thinking. No, animals in nature, the way that we normally do it, animals never harm each other. That's just not a thing that happens in nature. And in fact, people create guns to threaten other people into choking out animals in the wild, in the forest, and so on and so forth. It's egregious, and I think that it's just terribly wrong. Once again, my name is Jimmy Davenport.
well, listen, I'm a little more neutral on police, as I've had less problems. I'm very white.
I, Jimmy Davenport, am a black man, just to be clear. I am extremely black. It does not help.
But
I also drive a Cadillac, and it is dropped down because, once again, I am black. It is candy apple red, and that is nice.
I have friends that are cops. I have a lot of family that are cops. But what I will say is that job attracts a certain type of person.
Agreed.
It is an easy path for someone who wants power to get power.
Agreed.
Now, for as many good cops as there are, you got to understand that there's a bunch of shitheads just craving the power of the station.
Yep.
And, and that's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm connected to a bunch of good cops, really cool people. But, I have dealt with wildly, I always find it's the young ones, because I feel like maybe at some point they always get weeded out for something, but just something with a chip on their shoulder. Now I got a gun on my head.
Something to prove, yeah.
And I'm going to show you that I have the power in this world, and it's tough.
I can interject a little bit about this because in my last year in the Navy, I went TAD, which is temporary assistance duty. I was with security, and that's the closest you're going to get without actually being shore patrol anything like that to being a cop.
Sure.
And so it's the small, and I noticed that in people that were generally around me. It's just a slight amount of authority.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're just all twisted and you're just like, oh, well, I get, because one of the things you had to do when you were in security is you had to do urinalysis. You literally had to watch, people take a piss. Mm-hmm. And there was one guy who was actually, I was an E4 and he was an E3. Uh-huh. So he's a rank below me.
Right.
And he's still talking about I don't have to do that. I graduated from this. So I'm like, dude, how you're talking right in front of an E6.
Right.
And she can just ruin your day. And she did. It's like, oh, you graduated from this, huh? You got the next guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just you run into it because not only does it foster the amount of that type of person, that kind of authoritarian
Power dynamic,
kind of that bully. But it also, once you join it, it fosters that kind of mentality with you, even if you're not like that, because it does bring out the aggression in you to that degree.
Oh, for sure.
When you're around people, all the time, and you develop the camaraderie that exists in any type of a career, then there's always going to be some level of mimicry and the desire to fit in. You don't want to be if you're working with a crew of 10 people, you don't want to be the weak bitch in it. Whether you think of it that way or it's a subconscious thing, it's a reality of the human condition. So there is a level of mimicry that goes on where if you're surrounded by shitty people, then you're going to exhibit some of those tendencies, even if you're not that person. It's how you make fucking concentration camp guards. It's the same type of thing. You can take decent, normal people. They will adapt to their situation, which is commendable and negative in some cases.
People are not as stalwart and as stoic as they think they can be.
No, absolutely not.
We always adapt to our environments, whether we want to or not. Mm-hmm. And, it's... If you're not playing the game, you're not going to be accepted.
Yeah.
And
we all want to be accepted. That's the truth of it. We all want to be accepted.
It's natural. Yeah. It's natural. But yeah, it's, it sucks. You got to understand that, people that go that way, they're fucking humans. And, fucking X amount of fucking 10 humans are fucking shitheads.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Come on.
The percentage there is not working in your favor if what you want is decency.
That's a bit generous, because all humans are garbage.
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, we're talking to you, aren't we?
Thank you for considering me part of your species.
No, I was calling you raccoon before we started the podcast, so that's fair.
All right, so let's move on to Justin.
Sure.
Do you have a profession that you would like to eliminate from your life entirely?
Yes. I think I have something here. Salespeople, especially commissioned salespeople.
I agree with this.
They are the absolute worst.
No.
They want to live so far up your ass that they'll be eating your breakfast for you. And it is just the worst. I mean, whether it's car dealership.
Oh, yeah.
Is a primary point of it.
I feel like that's the top of the list.
Yes. Horrendous. They will. And you know what's funny, too? You rarely actually deal with a good properly sly salesman.
No.
It's just somebody that's trying to, but they're so slimy and so shitty.
They're aggressive.
And you are so fully aware of what they're trying to do to you the entire
They
process.
just browbeat you.
Yeah.
That's all that it is.
Almost worse is like low-end commission jobs at like PC Richards.
Oh, yeah.
Where you, I'm surprised it's still in business fully, but God, the shit they will try to outright lie to your face about like features of appliances and stuff like that. It's absolutely insane.
I love one of the things that goes hand in hand, I think, with that type of like aggressive salesmanship is the manipulation of people's concepts of money, spending, and savings. Because most people, in general, are not super financially savvy.
That's absolutely
so
correct.
that's just like the way that it is. So you can either just like let that be, or you can use that to your advantage. Which obviously, if you're a salesman, then you're going with the latter of the two. And I love the phrases, and I've only experienced it really with like car salesmen and whatnot, where they'll like imply, I'll say like, I don't want this thing because I don't want it because it seems bad. And you'll get like this like tacit, like off the fucking shoulder kind of like, well, if you don't like saving money.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not saving money by giving you $20,000. I'm losing $20,000. The fact that you're even attempting to reframe this in some way that I'm financially benefiting myself is so insane. It's like gaslighting. But it's like, and that's what it feels like. Like I'm dealing with like an ex that I hate, but I don't know how to navigate the situation because I just want to be out of it. And yet I do need to purchase a vehicle.
That is so well put. That is exactly, it's like dealing with an ex that is absolutely just gaslighting the shit out of you.
Yeah. It's so frustrating.
I fucking hate it. And like, you can't escape it. Because like, say, like, I do a lot of like home projects, so I got to go to like Home Depot and Lowe's a bunch. There's always an asshole there trying to sell me either fucking water cleaner or solar or fucking something. As soon as I see a fucking clipboard, my blood pressure just starts fucking boiling.
And it's like, and they're trying to tell you that you're fucking yourself over by trying to do what's right for you financially. Like, man, you are an idiot. But listen, if you want to burn your whole life down and your wife and children to leave you, then by all means, don't buy my fucking water whitener or whatever the fuck it is. And And then you feel obligated to respond, but there's no nice way to do it. And you still don't want to be in a fight with somebody at a Lowe's on a Tuesday. Because there's no reason for that either.
Well,
so you're really boxed in.
That's the thing there. I mean, at least at places like that, I can just fucking dead eye right through them, and then I just keep on moving on. You know what I mean?
You need the fortitude to do that. Yeah. And a lot of times I feel like those salesmen, and this is what I find particularly slimy about it, it's that they're preying on people who really are so avoidant to the confrontation.
Yeah.
So it's like, you'll dead eye them. I'm like so fucking wound up in my whole life and never really vent it to people who deserve it.
Yeah.
That I'm waiting for someone to look at me cockeyed so that I can beat the shit out of them and leave them for dead on the side of the turnpike.
I treat them all as if I was like walking down the street smoking a cigarette and somebody asked me for a cigarette. Like, sorry, last one. Every time. And they're just like, that has nothing to do with what I asked
holding a full pack
and they're
in your hand.
They're just bewildered because they're like, you want to save money? I'm like, well, this is my last cigarette, so I can't give you one. So I gotta go.
That is not where I thought you were going with that, but I love it. It's a great answer, actually.
It's just confusing.
I hope that
nonsense.
the people who are listening right now, that is a great response.
But like some of them are like wildly aggressive. I remember. I mean, this is not recent, maybe like 2 years ago, but I went to, what's that? It's like the shittier version of Costco. BJ's?
BJ's, yeah.
It is the shittier version by a lot. I went in there and it felt like I was in like fucking Djibouti or something.
Yeah.
It was like lower Baghdad.
It is like a bazaar.
It is, yeah.
And
strangely dirty, because you know they clean it every night, and you had to, somehow it's like they get there in the morning and it's just filthy again.
Oh my God.
But
It's like
no
a
one's
Big
actually
Lots.
been in the space.
But we were leaving there, and I'm with my mom. And this guy, I can't remember what he was selling, was probably solar or something like that. Literally came up and like grabbed my mom's cart and was like, I need to talk to you for a second. And my mom's very nice. She's very sweet. And like,
No, that's not my baby.
to strangers, this dude's like trying to solicit information out of her and like trying to set her up for like, oh, we'll come to the house. It was, that's what it was. It was solar and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, no, we gotta go. No, get your hand off my mom's shit. It's like, dude, and the dude was so fucking pushy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
He wants
I might
that
have to
commission.
smack the shit out of you, my man. Like, you better back the fuck
Is
off.
selling this solar worth dying over? Is that where you're at in your own life?
Like, holy shit. It's bananas. I hate it. That's it. Yeah, no, fuck all of them. I don't know what a better thing would be. I don't care. Fuck them. And if that's your job, fuck you too.
I'll second that. Fuck you.
All right, Moses.
I mean, all the good ones are taken now. I would say probably it's a cross between like the customer service that you call or the cold calls that you get. Usually for solar. I don't know how many solar companies there are out there, but I know it's above 1 million. And I have gotten a call from each and every one of them.
It's the same guy with different names.
Yeah, but I block these numbers.
Yeah. Well, when you're making solar money, you can just get other lines.
And my question, is sometimes I'll be bored and entertain them, and it's like, oh, do you have solar? I'm like, no, but I live out of my car. It's a 64 Pinto.
I've heard you do this, actually. This is quite funny to hear.
Can I put solar panels on there so I can, cruise down the road and then I could get rid of my alternator?
Yeah.
And
it's a perfect cycle.
And they're like, no, that's not how that works. I'm like, well,
so they're not good salesmen, is
well,
what you're
then
saying.
I asked them,
the answer is yes.
How exactly does solar work?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And then I'll put the phone down. They'll, I guess, explain it. I don't know, because I step away.
I think that they take the power of the wind and then it goes straight into the engine block.
So it's just
and
Captain
creates
Planet?
gasoline.
It's something like that. What I heard is that you have those wind farms in the ocean, and they chop up a bunch of birds, which brings a bunch of whales to the surface.
That makes sense. Yeah, whale oil.
Some sort of harmonic stuff kills all the whales.
And that's what makes the glaciers melt.
Exactly.
Got it.
You get that ambergris out of the whales.
Yeah.
That's sweet
You
ambergris.
process that.
Yeah, but you smell beautiful.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And at the same time, the windmills are blowing this planet a little bit further from the sun. So
I know,
it's getting
it's
cooler all
crazy.
the
Yeah.
time. That means less air conditioning. So now we're really saving money, people.
I mean, thank God we got the people on the wall to tell us about these changes.
Thank God. Otherwise, I would be totally ignorant.
But yes, Moses, I do agree with you. The fucking, I don't know what you'll call it, the call center
Well,
people.
the call center, because I had an interaction with, Yeah, I guess I could say them, TD Bank. And I was over.
Big TD Bank's gonna come for you.
Oh, they always do.
Toronto Dominion strikes again.
And I had a customer service, I had an overdraft. And I'm like, well, like the money's in there. It's just like, I didn't approve this.
Mostly
charge.
ambergris.
Well, yeah. And they're like, well,
Can you not convert that?
some people like overdrafting their account. I'm like, who? Who would like that? Because it certainly isn't poor people, because they ain't got the money to pay the $35 or whatever the fuck it is. Because now you're
wild.
doubling it. It's like, why would anybody like this? Like, well, some people do. I'm like, no, get it. Like, stop.
Yeah.
I'm hanging up now because I'm getting aggravated.
That is the most asinine statement I think I've ever heard. Some people like to overdraft
some people like
their
that.
account.
They have two different kinds of.
I mean, not for nothing. Like, there's a lot of
Does it
politicians who are like, some
makes
people
me
just
feel
love being poor.
dangerous? I don't understand.
Millionaires aren't using TD Bank,
That's
They can't afford, like, most people that use TD Bank can't afford the $35
That is
overdraft.
fair.
Because obviously they had an overdraft.
Well,
they can't afford
obviously,
shit.
what you're missing, Moses, is that what they love is the challenge and the struggle, because they know that it builds character.
They've made a very, very
I
disgruntled.
do my best work under
curmudgeon.
pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hope that I have this pressure until the day that I die, and I hope I can pass this pressure on to my children.
Yeah. What more could you ask for?
Nothing really.
The call center people are fucking insane.
Yeah. It's those cold calls where it's like, oh, I got one for the PBA.
I was
Just
gonna
a
bring this
general
up
one.
before,
Just a general, like, I'm like, oh, does this go to my local police department? They're like, no, it goes to the Police Benevolent Association. I'm like, yeah, but does that benefit my local area? And
I
hung up.
got one of those calls like a year or two ago, and I answered it for whatever stupid fucking reason. It was just a random number. And the guy's like, money for the PBA. And I straight up said, I was like, I don't support the police. And instead of hanging up on me, which presumably was his job,
right.
because he's obviously trying to get money for the PBA, instead he chose to engage with me because he was so personally offended. And he basically gave me like, what the fuck do you mean? And I was like, I don't agree with what the police do for the most part, which he did not like that either. And then he was like, it's for baseball, for kids and things like that. And I was like, is it though? Like, how much of the money goes to baseball for kids? Can you give me the percentage?
You know what,
and he was like,
breakdown.
no, nobody knows the percentage.
Can you send me a copy of your books? I'd like to.
Somebody knows
I was
the
like,
percentage.
you're a cop asking for money. You guys don't get paid enough? You get paid fucking 6 figures a year to sit in your fucking car and like hand out tickets to people for what? Like fucking like the yellow, like went through a light that was too yellow? And I was.
Me too.
Now I'm frustrated.
Where's
my drink?
On our drive here, we passed two stadies who had pulled over like an elderly lady in a little white sedan.
I didn't get to see who was in it, but I just knew it was a Buick, so I guess it was elderly.
Of course they were elderly.
Oh,
Buick. They stopped making those 30 years ago.
They live in our hearts forever.
You know what? That felt good. I feel like I've gotten something off my chest.
I feel a little vented.
Unfortunately, I do have to buy a car within the next year. So,
man, good luck. Yeah.
You did something that pseudo circumvent, but you had all these other problems. You went through one of those online buyer things, right?
Oh yeah, I went through CarMax.
Yeah.
That sucked balls.
Holy shit.
It was like during COVID, so you couldn't go to a regular dealership because they weren't allowed to sell you a car. And so I went on to CarMax, and I was like, well, you know what? I never would have done this, but it must be easier because you don't actually have to go and deal with this bullshit. And their whole pitch is like, we don't have commission, which maybe that's true, maybe it isn't.
I mean, that'd be great, because why
Well,
is
their
there
policy is one. Like, even if that's true and there is no commission, and I believe that, there's no reason to doubt it from my experience. But the person on the other end, like their job, I don't know what they're paid as a salary. So if it's not commission, they're paid some sort of a salary to just do the exact same thing as a commissioned salesman is. So the person just like straight up lied to me, but obviously I didn't have the car in front of me. So I was like, this is the car that I want. They list all of the things. So I was like, this is it. You know, like that's said and done. This is the mileage. It's the engine, yada, yada. And I confirmed, you know, this is the thing, right? It's a young lady and she's like, yep. That's the whole shebang. And I was like, cool, I'll buy it. How do I give you money? And she's like, well, we're going to have to go through a 2-week process where you take photos of cashier's checks and like your license and like all this fucking shit. And it's like, to a degree, I get that. So I go through all of these hoops and I'm like, you know what? Still worth it. Not a big deal. Need the vehicle. And then they roll up with the vehicle and it's like 2 kids. Like they were young. They were like 19 years old.
Sure.
And they both roll up with the vehicle. I guess one driving the vehicle to bring them back. And And I was so frustrated at this point just because the process was so drawn out. And I see the one kid, he's like, because I catch him in the driveway kind of scenario. Right. And the one kid is getting like a ribbon out of the back of their van, their secondary vehicle.
No.
That's like 3 feet wide. And I'm sorry, what are you doing? This is my first words to them, by the way. Like, I haven't even said it aloud. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, we're dropping off this car. I'm like, yes, the car is for me.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, great. Like, congratulations on your new car. And continues with the ribbon. And I'm just like, stop what you're doing. Yeah. I do not want my neighbors seeing what a bitch I am, that I can't go and buy a fucking car like a grown-ass man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So he stopped doing that. He asked me multiple times if I was sure. I was like, I clearly live alone. So like, what the fuck is this ribbon for other than for me to be ashamed of my own actions?
It's like those commercials from the 90s where the dude gets his wife
Alexis for Christmas. It's that's a big gift, and also she doesn't even know she's getting a car, so he just picked out whatever.
Yeah. That's how you do it. Yeah. That's what you do when you have a Russian mail bride.
That kid probably got fired because you didn't let him put that ribbon on.
I was going to say I hope so, but that's mean.
Yeah, I mean, he's...
You know what? I don't feel bad about it.
He was just trying to get his fucking, his bar money.
So he says to me, because I'm still standing at the end of the driveway, so there's 20 feet between me and the vehicle, and they're like, do you want to check it out, make sure that you love it, we want your review. And I said to him straight up, because I was frustrated, and I was just like, if it's the car that I ordered, then no, I don't need to check it out, because I already know everything about it. This isn't like a casual purchase. This is a $20,000 vehicle.
Yeah.
So it better be the fucking thing that I ordered. It wasn't. It was not at all that vehicle.
They gave you a chance.
The engine was completely different than the one that I actually purchased. And then I had to jump through fucking hoops to get even any type of recompense. They never acknowledged their mistake. I got money back. And in the end, I think I got a fair deal.
Didn't you also have trouble getting a key? The actual car?
I thought there was paperwork issues, a key issue.
Yeah, the paperwork issues were so secondary to the rest.
Right.
But yeah, I got it. And they were so I asked them, they go to hand me the key. And this is my only interaction with the vehicle before the kids left.
Right.
And they hand me the key, and I was like, where's the the key fob? The fucking the keyless entry, all the things that cars these days have, It's not 1980, And they were like, oh, let us call up the shop. So they do that, and they come back, and they're like, they forgot to put that in here, but we're gonna mail it to you. And I'm like, okay. I hope you mail it to me, because I'm so frustrated right now, and I really don't like raising my voice. So let's not go down this dangerous road. I've got a lot of pent-up aggression.
You're welcome.
And sure enough, nothing happens. Weeks go by, I call up, and I get somebody completely different on the phone.
Of course.
One of the joys of dealing with an online-only company, that there's not one person to talk to, where they actually feel a little threatened by your presence. This is just new people each time, and they're in a different state. And they just say to me, they're like, no, that wasn't said to you. I'm like, oh. Delightful. So not only do I have some sort of senility setting in at a fairly young age, but I also don't have a goddamn key fob.
It's called gaslighting.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, listen, this vehicle needs that, and I will return it without that. I've also put 2,000 miles on it since last we spoke, because you took weeks to answer my fucking phone call. And they were like, all right, listen, we're going to put the key in your vehicle. We'll install that. I'm like, fine, you can come out here and do that. Send out one of your texts. I don't give a fuck how you do it. I'm being more than patient by waiting. All this time goes by. Call back. I have to call them.
Yeah,
and they go, listen, we checked with the techs, and it's not possible to install a remote control on your locks. And I had to say to this person, and I pray to God, and this is rare for me to say this because I have such a disdain for people's goddamn ignorance, and I'm an ignorant person, but there are limits to where you just go from being a regular dumb person like myself to being full blown on the retarded spectrum, and you should be institutionalized somewhere where people can properly take care of you. And she straight up said to me, she just goes, it's not possible to do that. And I had to explain to her that if the thing is controlled by electricity, and it is, because it literally has power in the name, power locks, then you can control it with a remote. That's how it works. The remote signals the actuator, whatever the fuck it's called, that sends the signal that makes the thing work. And she was like, well, I'll have to look into that. And I go, you don't have to look into it. You can just go on Wikipedia right now and look at how a remote control works. It doesn't require any investigation. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go to a local shop and I'm going to do it. And then you guys can just reimburse me for it, which ended up inevitably happening.
Yeah.
And I did tack a little bit onto the bill because
100%.
For the fucking time and frustration.
100%, because that would have been my threat. It's listen, you know what? Fair enough. It's impossible. I'll go get it done.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bill your ass for it.
Exactly, yeah, because that's just it. You know, when you're as retarded as I am, you can do the impossible. Cormacs can't. They can't do that, but I can.
And there's in the thing from Moses' point is like those people, they actively choose to be either by stupidity or just being shitty fuckheads to be complicit in like the scam.
I know that for a fact because I used to do it.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think that for the most part, the people who do these things, you know, like they actually are that dumb. They are legitimately like that fucking dumb because what happened is that CarMax's policy was that they told these people who were answering the phone, who were doing the deal, whatever.
Right.
And they said to them, it's not possible to open up a lock, an electric lock with a remote. It's just impossible. It can't be done because of the laws of physics. And that person heard that and they were like, wow, I learned something today. And then they passed that on to me. And again, as retarded as I am, imagine dealing with a level of retardation that's so much above your own. And then you just got to drink that in, and at the same time not curse, something that I have such a proclivity for doing.
Yes, because they'll just hang up on your ass.
Oh, yeah,
We also have to air this, so don't use those words.
Yeah, well, here we are, though.
Well, gentlemen, before we move on, do you want to hear my answer?
Yes, please.
So it's actually kind of funny. We left a lot of occupations on the board.
Yes.
Doctor, lawyer, dentist. And I'm going to continue.
I heard boxer instead of doctor. I think that was the first one that you said.
It was doctor.
Dr. Boxer.
Yeah, I heard boxer for a moment. I was like, wow, damn, that's weird. You don't have to watch boxing.
We left politician on the board.
Yeah,
that's a great answer.
Easy.
Yeah, Ed
I mean,
said
I think
that,
we kind of engrossed that with the customer service commission salesman.
Yeah, it's
the
like a
same
shill
thing.
job.
It's the same job.
Yeah, your job is to be a liar. You're a professional liar.
And those will continue to be off the board because my answer is HR reps.
Oh, no.
They are a bunch of card-carrying commies. They are corporate sponsored, so it's that nice little mix between the two.
Yeah.
And they push the most vile kind of propaganda on you in a corporate setting. They push the DEI stuff, diversity, equity, inclusion stuff.
Yep.
They were initially, to my understanding, there to make sure that, when women first entered the workplace, that they didn't get sexually harassed after all the shit that went down in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
not really the case anymore.
No.
If you ever take...
At least it's far less so.
If you ever take an HR test, which you have to do every once in a while in a corporate setting, don't ever actually take the course because you will ace it on the first try if you follow this key step. The white guy is always wrong.
Well, obviously. I don't need you to tell me that.
Unless we're playing hockey, yeah.
Now, if there's no white guy involved and it's just a man and a woman, the man is always wrong. Mm-hmm. So with that kind of strategy, I think of all the HR tests I've ever had to take, I think I've only got a collective 10 answers wrong. And also, we've talked about, cops. An encounter with a cop can get, very deadly.
Oh,
because
yeah, the opportunity is there.
And so if you
one day HR is going to have sidearms. You'll be singing a different tune.
When you run
First
into
the teachers.
when you run into that, it is whenever I've gotten pulled over by cops, and you could say, "Look, well, Dan, you're white. Why would you be concerned?" It's because since I was a kid, my dad has always told me 10 and 2. Don't take your hands off the wheels.
Yeah, that's good advice.
And just don't even reach. Yeah. Or, your
I think I can see the black now.
Yeah.
You're still a terrible Mexican.
Yeah. And here I was, just thought it was relegated to in his pants.
But, as long as you undergo a certain procedure, and also for me, it's a little easier because I was in the military, so I kind of know what it is. Yes, sir, no, sir, no excuse, sir, type of deal. HR, there's none of that.
No.
HR, too, will just bully you just to get whatever the hell they want. Like if you didn't undergo a certain medical procedure and they said you have to do it, they will continue to harangue you to do it.
Wow.
A cop never did that to me. Now, a cop could easily threaten. Now, any encounter you have with a cop is sort of a threat on your life because you
have to understand you're dealing with a gun. You are dealing with an elevated situation.
But a cop has never threatened my livelihood in that shape, way, or form.
Sure.
And also, every time I've encountered the cop, I've been always, at least in not 2 or 3 occasions, I've always been wrong. You know, maybe like
Oh, God bless you, sweet summer child.
That's just me. That's just me.
I've
I got
never-
pulled over for eating a peach once.
Well-
that's a tale for another podcast.
That was somebody's home.
Listen, this is America. I should be allowed to eat peaches wherever I
One,
want.
like, respect. Two, were you absolutely covered in peach juice?
First of all, you can see how I look right now. I'm covered in peach juice at the moment. Yes, I was covered in peach juice.
He slipped
That's
in.
the only way that I can keep the police from touching me. They don't want to get that sticky.
You know, those peaches are always just so juicy.
I could eat a peach for hours.
You gotta take the Davenport procedures to not have that happen again.
Oh, man. I forgot that I was Jimmy Davenport.
Well, gentlemen, from professions that we want to never exist ever again, let's talk about movies we never wanted to exist in the first place. Remakes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Now, remakes are actually sort of in the news because Disney will not stop churning out live action
Yes.
remakes of movies that never needed to be remade because they were made like 20, 30 years
It's called being out of ideas.
Yes,
Well, also
exactly.
a lot of those movies were just old stories.
Yeah.
So none of it was like it's remaking a book.
Yeah. I
mean,
Into
that's fair.
a
Yeah,
cartoon.
even the
into a
originals
live
are
action
remade,
movie.
There are very few, like, new IPs out there when it comes to, like, entertainment. Everything, we're playing on classic storylines. I mean, if you can go back fucking forever, you know, the classic Heroes Quest, you know, the storyline and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
the storylines are quintessential. They're all movies for the most part that people remember and enjoy. There's a romantic element. The guy has to get the girl. The conflicts are obviously going to be limited by conflicts that are in some way relatable.
Oh, of course.
So you're always going to be working from the same kind of set of ingredients.
Yeah. So there's been, particularly, I would say, and this metric could be completely wrong, but in my opinion, like the past 20 years has just been rife with just stonking bad remakes of IPs that we, well, at least knew and respected from like the 80s and earlier.
Yes, especially the 80s
Yeah.
more so.
Yeah.
Like they always remake a older kind of flick
Yeah.
in some way or another, but yeah, it's mostly 80s now.
Let me jump in right here with a movie that I was absolutely infuriated that they remade, Point Break.
That's pretty close to the top of my list.
I never
I
watched
never
the remake.
watched that
I
either.
refused to.
I refuse to do that as well because there's no topping the first one. Utah, get me too. That's it. You're not topping that ever.
No,
Remaking that movie it offends my
No,
sensibilities.
I'll fully take this on the chin. I haven't watched it either because I refused, but I don't need to watch it. The first one was perfect.
Yeah.
It's all it needed to be.
I'll rewatch
All I did
that.
was see the trailer for the second one and realize it was an abomination.
They miss I feel like that when they remake films like that, what they are really doing is missing the soul of it. With Point Break, the original, what makes it great, in my opinion, is that you get this tremendous chemistry that exists between Keanu and
Gary
Busey.
Busey.
Also Patrick Swayze.
And Patrick
Oh,
Swayze as
yeah,
well.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah,
Anthony Kiedis and Flake.
and if you can't replace that soul, then you can't make a better movie. Like Fury Road, which we were discussing this before, that's not a remake, it's a sequel, but
it
part
was
of
done so far past when...
well, that too, but I was going to say that the person that was replaced, and we already discussed him very recently, but you replaced Mel Gibson with someone who did it better. That's the big
and
thing.
you know what? Because that was the original director came back for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they did it all practically.
Yeah, they did it well.
Yeah.
And the actors that were chosen were fine, if not better.
Did Mel Gibson not have anything to do with that?
No.
It had nothing to do. He was in jail for like murdering a Jew. Or
I
some
don't
shit.
think he's ever been to jail.
Yeah, well, you're right. He is white.
But like we discussed this a little bit earlier, like is Fury because it's neither a remake or a sequel. It's kind of like a different story.
It's kind of like, yeah, continuation, but reboot at the same time. But
right.
they never
It's a
followed
conti-
up on it either.
It was meant to be a proper sequel. It's in the future post Thunderdome.
Yes.
yeah.
So it is a proper fourth film.
Right.
So it's not a remake. So it's a bad example.
It's still Max Rockatansky.
The principles remain the same. If you want to remake the thing, as far as my point would go, is that you need to improve upon or at least equal the things that you had in the first one. When you're looking at a movie like Point Break, that's almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
unless like the culture has changed so much, which it hasn't since that came out, that you can just like basically enter the entire new vernacular for it, like all new actors that people feel that new way about. But Keanu Reeves is very much so alive, very much so doing the exact same thing as he was doing back then.
He's busy making Bill and Ted 4 or 5, whatever the fuck one they're on.
Yeah,
and
you
it's like,
could have just done it with him. That would have been better.
Swayze's gone, but I don't think didn't he die at the end?
He's alive in our hearts.
I'll bring up a more. Sorry,
I was just gonna say at the end he catches like the big wave.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
presumed that he died.
Yeah.
Also, that scene is weird. Not to go off too far into this, it looks like they had filmed it like 3 years after they had filmed the beginning of that movie.
Right.
Yeah. They look noticeably older somehow.
Yes.
Somehow. It's
This
called
one's-
drugs and alcohol.
This one's a more niche one because the remake was made in the early 2000s, but Rollerball.
Oh, shit. I completely forgot that.
So Rollerball, originally a mid-70s James Caan movie.
You just unfortunately reminded me of another remake because Rollerball was the expensive version of Death Race 2000.
Yes.
Oh, and then they also remade Death Race 2000.
I think they did, like, in the past 20 years, another 4 or 5 of them.
Death Races, yeah.
The first one of which had Jason Statham play the role in a completely different way of Frankenstein.
Yeah. It had nothing to do. I did not watch that because I actually really enjoyed.
I really enjoyed raced around the prison.
Yeah, because they were in the original film. They were heroes. It basically they shifted the entire theme of the film.
Yes,
the original one was meant to be like a critique.
Thematically, it was completely
American
different.
society.
Completely different.
The only thing that was similar was that there were cars, and that the name of the movie was Death Race.
Yeah.
That's pretty it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
But I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous because I mean, I think we could say pretty much universally here at the Loud and Drunk podcast, we have a lot of love for Death Race 2000.
Oh my God, yeah.
And those, however many of them that there are, those Death Race movies
3 or 4
are horrendous.
Yeah, because I feel like I have not watched.
They missed the point of Death Race.
They missed the whole point. Yeah. Exactly. It's meant to be like a funny but political critique, essentially, of how much the government sucks.
Yeah.
And how regular people don't care for it, and they're rising up against the government. And then you make Transporter 17 and call it Death Race.
Right.
And that's just terrible.
Well, they were the remake was just saying how terrible jail is, which a lot of people don't understand. That jail is bad.
Well,
and
thank God we had Jason Statham to tell us that jail is bad, because if anybody knows.
Another remake that I just saw a couple of days ago, I noticed it on Hulu, and this is I think a Hulu show.
Not a sponsor.
White Man Can't Jump.
They
made it a TV show.
They made it? It's actually made?
I saw it on Hulu. I don't know if all the seasons or like all the episodes, or if it is even a TV show around that, like, because they do those like one-off TV shows sometimes.
Horrendous.
And like, because they tried that with Lethal Weapon, I think, to make it a TV show.
I never saw it, but I believe they made it a TV show. They also made fucking MacGyver into a TV show.
Well, the original fucking MacGyver, which was what, like 6 seasons or some shit?
Something like that.
But they tried. They tried to remake it, again, missing the soul of it. Because part of the soul, when you look back at these old things, is that it was about the person playing the character.
Yeah.
That the reason that it was successful in the first place is because that person's delivery of it was so like on the nose for, I guess, what the viewer, it's hard for me to quantify, but like what you wanted out of that. You felt like you were watching this person just execute something really well. And then they remake it. It's like when you look at MacGyver, if I can't have a Bigfoot episode, which makes no fucking sense.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, if you can't give me that, then like you clearly missed the whole point of how absurd the show is. There was an episode of the original MacGyver where he just taught hockey. And he didn't make a damn thing. He just taught hockey for the whole episode. And you get to the end of it, and you're upset. But what did I watch?
Yeah. Let's give respect. Richard Dean Anderson as MacGyver didn't do a whole lot except for Stargate after that. But
that's true. Yeah.
The Stargate TV show. Yeah. Let's set that.
Shout out to my brother for that one. Favorite show.
Yep.
Can't all be Babylon 5.
No. Well, your brother and I have that akin love for an extra dumb show called Sequest.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah. Didn't that kid kill himself?
Yes.
That
was sad. I feel bad I brought it up.
That was, what's his name from Neverending Story, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, Sebastian.
Oh,
no? I can't remember his name.
We're just going to call him by the name.
Wasn't he in, Jonathan Landis? Or
Jonathan Landis.
Is that right?
No, that sounds right.
Pulled that out of.
How's Falcor doing?
He's still around because he's never ending.
All right, gentlemen, I can confirm that there is a remake of White Men Can't Jump.
Oof.
It's a movie. On
It is a
Hulu.
movie.
It's a movie
Okay.
on Hulu.
I might watch it in between this recording and the next, and maybe I'll give you a recap on it and how terrible it obviously has to be.
I hope not. I'd rather just forget that it exists.
No, never forget.
Well, they've been remaking a whole
lest we
bunch of
forget.
stuff too, like TV shows. They remade The Wonder Years.
That's true.
Did
They remade
true.
Magnum PI.
They just
remade
remade,
Miami Vice.
Currently on right now, that Scott Bakula vehicle back in the day.
Quantum Leap?
Quantum Leap.
Oh, I love that show.
The only remake of Quantum Leap, and it hardly quantifies as that, is when Always Sunny
Yeah.
did
Oh,
their
I know,
Quantum
I know,
Leap
I know.
episode.
Yeah.
That
Scott
is how
Bakula
you
was
do
in
that.
that.
Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, he was at the very end of the episode. It was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, here's another
It's
one.
The Gang Turns Black, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah. Another one that I haven't seen the remake and refuse to, The Thing.
Oh, I
didn't
watched
know they
that.
made that.
I watched that.
They
I watched that
remade
remake.
it.
Which is funny too, because the Thing made by John Carpenter
Yeah.
is in itself a remake.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The remake of that, I will say this. My understanding of how they went about that is that it was filmed first with all of it was basically done real world. So they created all the physical props, etc.
Okay.
Did all of those things. And I watched like clips of that on YouTube and shit, and it looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
You know, now we're just talking about like action sequences, right?
Right.
Yeah, the film,
Yeah. Apparently what happened is that they got done with that whole sequence. So they basically filmed the whole movie.
Did they come back and replace everything?
A producer was like, this looks like shit because I'm some fucking moron.
Yep.
And made them go over it with CGI for enormous expense, obviously.
From what I understand, it happens a lot.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Disney's
It's
having that
terrible.
problem with their
They also added in
Star Wars and Marvel franchises.
This is a thing that I feel like I've observed in a few different remakes, and I am a little bit hard-pressed to think of examples, though I have observed it. The Thing would be my example here. They add characters. They don't just replace them with worse characters, but they just add it into the Thing. You started that movie, the original one from 82 or some shit.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, you start off with, let's just call it 10 people. Right out of the gate, some of them are dead, and you narrow it down to like 6 characters, led by Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Kurt Russell, yeah.
Right, so you've got that going. In the remake, they added in, and maybe it was the diversity thing, because they did add in a lot of women and things like that, presumably to add that element to it. Even though the first one did have women in it, but they added in a tremendous amount of, like, I guess, what Hollywood would consider minorities. They add these characters in, and it wasn't a problem. Like, they could have just swapped characters out. Like, anybody could have been a woman or a black guy or fucking Chinese. It doesn't fucking matter. But what they did was just add characters. So you, instead of having like 6 people that you could kind of keep track of and you care about 2, Kurt Russell at the top of the list, instead you had like 15 people to keep track of. And some of them just like, to me, they just looked the same.
Yeah.
And it's regardless as to gender or color or anything like that.
This is why I can't watch British shows, because they all look the same. Like,
Yeah, their teeth are all equally bad, which is normally how I pick out
everybody's
the
white,
British
and
guy.
I can't tell them a fucking part.
British procedurals, they stick to that particular style so hard that, like, it could have been filmed 30 or 40 years ago. It could have been filmed last week.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You got King James in there somewhere,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was my main gripe with the Thing. It was just they add in these characters. I couldn't tell them apart. Everybody's kind of like typecast. That's the other thing. It's that when you throw in a shit ton of characters, you're removing these other elements from it where you're forcing in this case, the original 6 characters, they have to fulfill multiple roles. So you've got the guy who's funny, but he's afraid, and he's also the dramatic, and everybody's kind of fulfilling multiple typecasts, I guess as it were. And then when you remake it and you throw in 15 people, well, now you've got somebody for every stereotype. And so the characters are super one-dimensional, and not only can you not remember who they are, but you also just don't fucking care. So you just kind of want everybody to die. And it's the weirdest thing, because the Thing is all about how hideous and egregious and awful this alien
It's
species
all about
is.
survival.
And by the end of it, I kind of wanted the Thing to win. And that's a strange feeling to have.
Well, it is weird, but like, it kind of, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, when you like think back on like the Friday the 13th movies, you just hope that Jason kills all these fucking shitty fucking people. And it's the thing is, like, the studios and stuff like that, they jam pack so many more characters in to try to fill out at least what they perceive representation. So that, like, oh, well, we got a black guy, we got a Chinese lady, we got, like, a Korean person, and blah, 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 blah. But, like, when you jam-pack so many characters in something, you don't care about the characters.
You don't care about the characters, and they become, when you're making a film, they become hyper monolithic.
Yeah.
And they're just, exactly, they're token characters.
You want them to die so you can start keeping track of like what's important
At some point, usually in the last 5 minutes of the film.
Weed these people out so I know who I'm supposed to be like paying attention
we have
to.
a diverse group of people, both here and in general, in this like broad friend group that we have.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
And every person is a person because this is real life. You know? So the Chinese guy, the fucking Jew, the black guy, the fucking cracker over there, everybody is a human being, and they've got their own fucking belief systems about everything. When you jam-pack fucking 15 people in there, and you've covered all of your fucking groups, you've got your black, and your Asian, and your Jew, and there's a Polynesian guy over there, and I don't know, what other groups of people do exist on this planet?
I would argue this.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
This is a point I would argue, is that, like, they make these, representative characters, like token characters, like I said, where I think that's actually a disservice because people are complex.
Oh, yeah.
And a black guy doesn't have to act like a stereotypical black guy.
Yeah. He can just be a person.
He doesn't have to be ghetto.
He can just be a person.
Character doesn't have to be the math person.
Yeah.
You know what
But
I mean?
in these modern takes, they do have to be that.
Yeah.
And the best that Hollywood does, and honestly, I find it even more insulting because it shows, like, sometimes they'll just do that and you'll have, like, we'll use the Chinese character, right?
Sure.
Or we'll just go with Asian, right? They have the Chinese character and they're just that stereotype. They're great at math and they hack into the fucking system and, they dish out that we're in line, They do all of these things. And that's bad by itself because it's just bad movie making, just bad everything.
It's lazy.
I feel like it's even worse when they do, and I find this to be something of a common trope, where they'll be like, hey, Mr. Kim, you're Asian. Can you do the math? And they draw attention to the stereotype. And he's like, why do you think that I know how to do math?
Oh,
and it's like,
yes.
and I feel when I hear that, when I see that in the film, I'm like, oh, so you knew exactly what you were doing and chose to do it anyway.
No, that's the
So it's just
ham-fisted nature of it.
It's like a spit
gotta
in the
get ahead
face
of
of the viewer,
It's funny because I know a few Asians, and I want to say most of them
Do ya?
terrible at math.
Yeah.
Just terrible at
In
math.
fairness, that is true. Yeah.
Can I do a quick power round of names I'll just read off that are shit they don't really have to discuss unless you feel like you need to
I'd
jump
love
in.
to hear it, yeah.
All right. Red Dawn. Total Recall. RoboCop. Flatliners.
What?
Wow.
There was a remake of
I didn't know
Flatline?
A couple
that.
years ago, yeah.
Why?
Yep.
Why? Yeah.
Like,
nobody even knew that movie.
yeah.
Oh, maybe this one could take a little more, could take some chat. The Day the Earth Stood Still.
I know this movie extremely
That had
well.
Keanu in it.
It did.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I'll say about that is that the remake is not good. Keanu did a fine job.
I think he was
You
fair.
casted him, and he did fine.
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't have cast him.
Right.
It's a blemish on his.
The good thing about that remake, and the only reason that I would say that movie, I like that it was remade, that the thought was there to remake it, is that with the original, which was 1950 something, they
Yes.
could not do
Very early.
I forget the name of the robot. Klaatu.
Klaatu.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't do that before you had CGI. So,
Fair.
Oh, yeah, that was just a guy in a suit.
and that was
and
based off of a book. And
perspective.
in the book, Klaatu was supposed to be like 60 stories tall.
Yes, yeah,
and he could
correct. Yeah,
basically. So the remake movie actually did depict Klaatu the way because he was supposed to be like a cloud of nanobots. He was infinitely powerful, and that's kind of like that's an important part of the story because he's supposed to be infinitely powerful. Like he could just destroy humanity if he needed to.
Yeah.
And he was there as the protector of our, I guess, protagonist.
Yeah.
In the remake, they did that part right, but the rest of it sucked so bad. And that wasn't. I love Keanu Reeves. So I really.
No, I knew
if
this
you
was-
ever listen to this, Keanu, my heart goes out to
We
you.
love
I
you,
love you so
Keanu.
much. Yeah, we love you, Keanu.
So it's just there to prove that he's human.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I can't wait till we get to War of the Worlds.
I did put one Tom Cruise movie in this when they tried to kickstart the
I know.
Universal
Monster.
dark whatever.
It was a Universal monster kind of universe.
So the
classic.
Mummy, they remade it with Tom Cruise.
I watched that on a
I
plane.
watched that here.
Oh, that means I
Yeah,
watched
we
it.
watched that here, and it had what the fuck is his name?
I'm not going to air on our podcast
you
what
had
drugs
Russell-
we must have
Russell
been doing.
Crowe.
Russell
that's-
Crowe.
yeah.
Russell Crowe is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
That's right. That was worse than that fucking League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Jekyll and Hyde. Which was fucking terrible.
Which was Probably worse than the Van Helsing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, I forgot he was in that. They made us.
How many times can you do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde wrong?
Every time, but I mean that's all the Hulk is.
I was literally about to say it's like the Hulk. He can't have his own property, but he can exist in other ones.
Well, that's a issue. That's a rights issue.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, let me jump in here real quick and ask you a question about remakes, because usually when you're making a remake, you're either going to do the things that we were discussing before, which is like take liberties with the source material. Correct. But then there's also remakes like some of these Disney ones that I unfortunately saw one of them, like The Beauty and the Beast, which is pretty much shot for shot.
I saw that one as well.
But it's just live action, right?
Almost
It was
watched
fine.
that on a plane.
It was fine, but like I don't care about that story either.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever.
I love the animated one, the original from back
I
in
mean,
like,
there's
the
great
90s.
songs, but I don't care about the story.
But the question I want to ask is, if you're going to have to endure a remake, what would you rather have? Would you rather have something where they have a little bit more artistic license, leave a little bit more creative, where they can expand or redo things? Or would you rather it be a shot-for-shot remake of the original movie, just with different actors and different stuff?
Oh yeah, Evil Dead. Evil Dead was a decent remake.
It was, yes,
It
I
was.
agree with that. Yeah.
Like I was trying to
Hey,
think
we
of a
found
good
one.
one, but yeah, that's kind of the only one. I mean, it also had I think Sam Raimi backing it and
did, yeah, it did.
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
So
It did.
Like,
and
at
they
least-
did the things that you, if you're a fan of the original Evil Dead, as I am, then they recreated that in the appropriate way.
Mm-hmm.
They added in additional themes, which were contemporary, and I thought a little stretched, a little phoned in. But overall, the movie had the same feel.
What I would
Yeah.
say, and akin to exactly what you just said, it's neither of those options for me. You got to kind of capture that soul again in some way.
It's the feeling.
it is,
Yeah.
but
And I
that's
will-
what Evil Dead did kind of capture that soul.
And that's like I think that's a big thing when you're talking about a film that you enjoyed from 10, 20, 30 or more years ago, right?
Yeah.
The bottom line is that, and I love old movies,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things where I look back on them and the quality isn't there.
no.
You know, and that's just from the time period.
You have to
know?
invoke the feeling
Yeah.
that like is connected to that nostalgia.
Give me that feeling and give it to me with what I've come to expect of cinema, which is a certain level of quality. You know, we're all.
What movies are you watching?
Well, the quality of the CGI. You know,
yeah.
I'm obviously talking about Transformers.
Oh my God! On
the note of remakes.
yeah. Well, is that a remake?
Yeah, there was a cartoon one in 1980.
Yeah, I know there's a cartoon one, but I don't know if that's a.
You got the
if we're gonna-
touch.
If
You
we're
got
gonna
the
do,
power.
I got a really.
we brought up Rush.
I got one that
Damn it.
really offends my senses. We're gonna talk about cartoons into remakes. Fucking Ghost in the Shell.
Oh my God! Yeah, that was fucking terrible.
Yeah. Holy. Well, I mean,
I don't care about. like,
ScarJo, the queen of just stepping into roles.
I could forgive that whitewashing if the movie
I'm
was
not really
at
mad at
all fucking interesting.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I don't care about
ScarJo
the
is attractive,
whitewashing.
but
Yeah, I'd rather watch her in any role just because.
Yeah.
Then the story's got to be there.
Yeah.
And Ghost in the Shell is like it just wasn't.
The only and I know you're going to disagree, Moses, but the only remake that's actually ever existed of Ghost in the Shell is
It's
The
Matrix. Yeah, you know,
It's the only
that's
actual
fair.
remake,
I
yeah.
enjoy The Matrix better than I enjoy that Ghost in the Shell live action.
Yeah.
So, and I don't enjoy The Matrix at all.
I would make the jump right here to Eon Flux.
yeah.
That was-
shit.
Yeah.
I forgot about that
Who was
movie.
that?
We all tried to forget
Was
about
that?
it.
That wasn't Scarlett Johansson. That was
No,
what's
no,
her
no.
name?
Charlize
Monster.
Theron.
Charlize
Charlize
Theron.
Theron. Yeah. Ooh, that movie was
That was
bad.
It was dog shit. Yeah.
bad.
And I don't get how it would have ever been good because of the way that fucking cartoon was just like creepy, unnerving, and
You could
thought-inducing.
You could do that, but you would
I
need
don't
to
know,
try.
you could-
But
You would need to try.
Well, yeah, you're
so-
not doing it with a A-list star.
That all right. So Aeon Flux, I used to love. What was that? Liquid
Television.
Liquid
Yeah.
Television. So Aeon Flux, Dog Boy, The Head, all that shit back
shit.
in
Max.
the Max.
Oh, that was a great fucking
And then they remade Aeon Flux. Aeon Flux had a really fucked up story mixed with a really fucked up art style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
It was
the
that-
art style is really
It was that
the
heavy
part.
metal art style.
Yes. Yes. Heavy metal, but so fucking they made big points to be so visceral about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like even more
The
than
capturing
just fucking heavy
the
metal.
fly in her eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
just, like,
basically it's
creepy,
like
but-
if you're familiar with Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, correct.
Then
yeah.
it's like
It
that
was kinda like
hyper
that.
close-up shots.
Yeah,
that
when
make
they're
you
making
feel
out,
uncomfortable because
and
they're
you
so
see
close.
the whole fucking scene in the cartoon is just two tongues going at it.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
The
the
camera is literally inside of their mouths
Yeah.
as two trains pass each other. And they make
And
out
get
between
intertwined.
two trains. Yeah, they get completely intertwined.
Yeah.
You're just watching two tongues for what feels like an eternity. And then one of the teeth
And the
in
AS
somebody's mouth. has
Oh,
like
you
a
hear the
latch
little
on it.
clink or
Yeah.
the scraping across?
tell
It had
ya.
all the
Oh,
ASMR.
well, I'm glad that you brought that up because I just have to say, like, even as a child, I thought about that a million times. Like, how do you navigate that with your tongue?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't know how to go about it. I wish I had that skill.
The sound engineering of that
Yeah.
show.
Oh, yeah.
Remind me who played her in the movie. I know I saw the movie.
Charlize Theron. She was Aileen Wuornos in
Yes.
Monster.
So I know I've seen the movie. I distinctly remember watching the movie. I remember very little from the movie.
All that they did in the film
I
was
remember
capture
being
the
very
romance.
upset with her casting, and I remember being very upset with the guy that played Love Child.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what is happening?
Yeah, it was a butchery of it, and the movie did not grasp. So again, on the concept of capturing the soul of something, the show was all about this harsh dystopian future, which was terribly bleak and yet very technologically advanced. So on the surface, everything looked very nice, but the reality of it was that the show really beat into you, is that you're living in hell, and yet these two people love each other
Right.
and are separated from each other.
Right.
And the movie did zero
No,
of this.
because some of my favorite bits from Aeon Flux, the whatever you want to call it. I guess it's an anime of sorts. If you want to.
It was an anime.
But like when she would transition between like the city and the.
Oh yeah,
like, and it was,
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
And there was like none of that shit.
No, yeah.
It was just
the
like
closest they got to that, and this is one of the testaments I would say of like the AI aspect of it. Because the original was animated, they were able to do it. I will say that like with the film, there was a scene where she's breaking back into the city and blah blah blah, and she like almost falls onto some like it's like a fucking like it's like the green at a golf course kind of scenario.
well, and it all turns into needles.
And the grass is actually synthetic, and it's meant to be a defense system, so it turns into needles.
Right, and the
if you fall
trees
in it,
are shooting
you'll die.
darts and-
exactly,
yeah.
And like that part of it is a part of the original show. It's that this entire world was hyper lethal. It was all based off of control.
Right.
Nothing that you saw that looked beautiful was actually natural. None of it was actually. None of it was the beauty that you thought that you saw. It looked like a tree. It looked like this natural thing, but in reality, it was a weapon meant to control people, which is a fascinating concept. One that they did not explore at all in the remake of the show.
And it was just so polished. It was so bright. It was so
It was really bright.
glossy.
Yeah.
Aeon Flux was just, it was gritty. It was dirty.
Yeah.
It was...
Yeah, it was meant to make you feel uncomfortable, and the only characters that really grasped what you were experiencing as the viewer were these two romantic interests.
Correct.
You know, and in a sense, my experience anyway with it is that on the one hand, you were meant to hate Love Child, the villain, you know, the antagonist, and then you also had you had the main character.
Yeah.
And you were meant to kind of empathize with each of these people, and yet at the same time, they were somewhat ambivalent to this terrible scenario that they existed in.
It was a dance.
Yeah,
It was a
exactly.
dance.
Well
throughout-
said. Yeah, the whole thing was just a dance, and what I felt was trying to be conveyed was that they're in love and this and that, but that they can't get past their political differences. One was power hungry, and the other was on the side of the rebellion. And which is also getting back to that everything is a remake. This is a classic tale.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that there is this struggle that exists under the surface, and we have our politics and our belief systems, but that you can also experience this other side of the human condition where you're in love with somebody from the other side, which is a Romeo and Juliet thing.
exactly
You know?
right.
Yeah, the Capulets and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Montagues.
Montagues and Capulets. So that's really all that story is, done in this futuristic setting. And again, you remake the movie, and how the fuck do you not get that? You make movies for a living. I'm a fucking schmuck drinking in a goddamn bar garage.
Can I use that as a transition to maybe close off this segment?
Well, what I wanted to do
Yeah, please.
before we stop talking about bad remakes
Yeah.
entirely, and maybe we won't be able to do this, but
This is a new song, right?
it's a new song.
Why make new songs? The original song? I hate it.
The original songs are great.
This is not what makes it bad.
Wake up, wake up! What? Hey, have you not heard that Scuttlebutt? No, the gossip, the buzz, the who's in a
This is SpongeBob.
Is this John Leguizamo?
I'm really not telling a joke when I say that I visualized the gun. I'm really not telling a joke right now. I'm not.
This is someone.
Who did
Oh, I
this
hate
fucking,
this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is terrible.
This is turning my stomach.
So the Little Mermaid's into like trap.
Oh, no. Please. I heard Scuttlebutt again. I can't deal with it.
You've never heard of the Trap House Under the Sea?
Sebastian probably got some beats.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yo, he got rocked too. What's up?
You won't get wet.
So, gentlemen, we listened to Scuttlebutt from the 2023 remake of The Little Mermaid.
Nice.
Reactions on this atrocity unto the Lord.
I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't watched The Little Mermaid since I was in kindergarten. And then listening to whatever the fuck that was you just played for us is actually taking a part of my soul.
Yeah.
Oh, the Scuttlebutt! What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You guys were, when you were reacting to it initially, you didn't hear even the worst part when she was like, what? It was just like,
She's ripping off, what's Lil Wayne?
Little Wayne.
It sounded like an actual seagull was trying to sing.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
That's it. It's not a seagull.
That really kind of upset me in a way I was not prepared for.
I will say this. My sister is 4 years younger than me. I'm very familiar with The Little Mermaid. I have watched it thousands of times. I've watched it to the point where I would, honestly, if it was on right now, I would love to watch it. I do not care that is a movie that was originally meant for young women. I am all about that film. I think it's fantastic. I love the songs from it. What I just listened to is, it makes me feel like humanity should be wiped out in some sort of a nuclear holocaust. I hope instituted by Russia or China or anybody who's willing to pull the trigger right now.
Someone just step up to the plate, really.
Just someone do something about this situation that we found ourselves in.
All I can say about that is like, I want to get wet. Because whoever's involved with any of that, and even the smallest part, must be high on PCP to think that was a good idea.
I would love to be high on PCP right now.
It might help that. It might enrage me.
I don't even know.
It could go either way.
I'd be more angry. I've never done it before, but I'm willing to try right now.
I did that once. Listening to that song. I don't want to do that again.
No. Let's save it until we have cameras so we can do a mixed episode of tasing each other while on PCP.
I would love to be tased right now. I will take any part of
We
this.
could follow that up
Anything
with
to
my,
make me forget what I just listened to.
with my passing. I would probably die with that.
Are we doing that live?
Well, we might as well if we're doing the PCP and electric shock therapy.
I just realized now we have to do. We're going to have to draw up contracts. It's going to be very odd.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All right, let me get the lawyer on the phone.
Real quick, before we got off this completely, let me read you some of these.
Please.
Some of these comments.
I'm looking to be really upset. Oh, these are comments.
Yes.
Okay.
This song is amazing. I use it as an alarm clock, and I wake up an hour earlier to avoid hearing it.
Sir.
That's good.
Or lady. Fuck you. You're insane.
This song is truly revolutionary. It should be played at max volume on repeat in every interrogation room.
Yeah.
You know, I try to stay pretty neutral, but maybe we need to start culling people.
Oh, we're long past that point.
0 auto-tune, 0 talent, 100% pure ass.
Yeah.
Okay,
I agree with that.
yeah.
I don't know. I like
that,
ass. And I don't like that.
That's fair.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
This song is literally amazing. The way it made everyone inside the theater cry and leave was so moving.
And to think that their biggest issue was like this girl who's playing Ariel in the live action.
Yeah, the mermaid was black or something
Yeah,
like
it's like,
that.
who
And
gives a
people
shit
were
about
in an
that?
uproar about that. Who gives a shit? Though it doesn't make any sense. How
No,
would you have
'cause she's all the way
How would
down
you have
there. Why
melanin
would
in
she
your
be-
skin? Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I love how this song captures the deep connection to the sea. Really makes me want to drown myself.
Yeah, nice.
Disney.
Respect.
Yeah. That's actually fair.
I love how we were arguing the scientific.
well, listen,
merits
if
of-
there's mermaids, they would presumably be white.
Well,
Is that
yeah, but,
unfair?
like, there aren't mermaids, but like I love that.
super
But if
white.
there
That we can
were,
let
they would
go,
be
but-
super white.
yeah.
They're under the ocean.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that would make more sense, but
Yeah.
it's also mermaids.
This was a big topic when it was first announced that she would be black.
Right.
Like, I've heard conservative commentators just say, like, they're fictional. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal.
I mean,
No,
that
it
is
really
the
isn't.
right point.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a movie about mermaids. I'm just saying that you wouldn't have that
Didn't
much. melanin
Ariel
in your
have
skin.
a black sister in the cartoon though?
No.
There was because there were other mermaids that were part of.
In fairness, the only person who had any color in that was the villain Ursula. Which now that I'm saying it out loud, I realize
was done after
maybe there
Divine.
was a little bit of racism there.
Can I add a little something here?
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right,
Go ahead.
So it just hit me. So you talk about Ursula. So Ursula was designed with Divine
in
in
mind,
reference.
yeah.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
So
And,
it should have been RuPaul in the live action.
Well, no. So in the live action,
That would not have flown.
no.
Why?
So
That
the
would've been
live
great.
action portrayed the same. Essentially, they had Melissa McCarthy. I think is
Yes,
that
Melissa
factory,
McCarthy is Ursula in the remake.
lady. Portraying essentially the same iteration of Ursula, and they got all butthurt over on piggybacking because the original cartoon character was based off of Divine.
They
And it's like,
should have had-
why are you? Why is this a point? Is this really upsetting you? Like, is this really?
There's a
ruining
lot
your
of love
day?
for Divine.
Listen,
And,
when everything's going your way, you gotta
Flamingos.
get upset about something.
There's a lot of love for
Ursula
Pink
should have been
Flamingos.
played by Michael Clark Duncan. That is my argument.
I don't think he was around then.
Yeah.
No, he is dead.
I think he was busy.
Yeah.
Can't they CGI him in?
Oh my god.
I mean, this isn't Ghostbusters, man.
God damn it.
But it's like just the shit I see. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care what fucking side you're on. You're all fucking idiots. If you're
Yeah.
getting upset about like that it's really affecting your day,
Yeah.
holy shit.
The amount
Find
of
a
nights that
hobby.
I've lost. Yeah.
I don't know, double clean your guns or go on double the marches. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but find something
I
else
wouldn't
to worry
have time
about.
to go on double the marches. I'm going to go on 3 gun marches a week.
That Scuttlebutt song, I don't get why that was. I've never seen anything about it, never heard about it, but that's the real fucking.
Oh, it's terrible.
That's the aggression there. Like,
Yeah.
why would you do that? Why would you add songs to something that already has
The
a
songs
great
were
soundtrack,
great,
a
yeah.
fucking great soundtrack?
Yeah, and not for nothing. It's not like those songs were like steeped in the era. They were
No,
like
they were
just
just fun.
timeless fucking songs. You could
Yeah.
just do the same
classic,
song.
was a-
bland ass Disney
Yeah, they're bland
songs.
as
It was
Disney songs,
just
you know.
like about being,
Under the sea?
like wanting the
sorry,
other side
under
of the
the
fence. Like the grass is always greener, and it ain't.
You had a bunch of really good songs. You had "Kiss the Girl."
Yeah, Kiss the
Like,
Girl,
that was the type of song when you're like you're
that-
watching that movie.
Moses,
when
your
that
your
promotes
beard is
rape.
looking a little bit scraggly. Would you like a snarfblat?
Oh man, I have a dinglehopper to actually.
for a kids movie, "Kiss the Girl" was a little bit too sensual.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of like we're really laying this on.
It's just
thick.
like kiss her. Yeah, she'll be with it. It's fine. Don't worry.
It's funny. The only Disney movie that I ever like rewatched was that Fantasia collection where it's
that's
like
great.
the Mountain King at the end,
Yeah,
the giant
I love it.
with all the demons
Those are
and shit
great.
like that.
It's all Wagner.
Chernobog
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was of course me. That's the only one.
I enjoyed that one.
that was the first DVD I ever bought was
I had
Fantasia.
on VHS.
Yeah. I used to really enjoy that. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, let's jump from bad remakes to good remakes. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on
Hey,
this.
it feels good because I got
There's
nothing.
not a whole lot of time. I think we
So-
said it, Evil Dead. That's
So,
Evil Dead.
I will read this from. Actually, I won't read the whole thing. I'll just give you the list.
Thank you.
From MovieWeb.com, best modern remakes of classic films ranked. So, number 15, The Departed, 2006.
There's a remake.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that one was a
It
remake.
is, now, this is what they're going off. The Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese, is a remake of the first entry in the Eternal Affairs trilogy, written and directed by Andrew Lau and Alan Mack.
Really?
It is a Japanese film.
Oh,
okay.
that's why we don't know
You
it.
know
Yeah.
what?
Nah.
You know what though? Actually,
We didn't win the
stylistic-wise,
war to
that
watch
kind
their
of actually
movies.
makes sense. Like, stylistic wise, that movie.
That's fair. Yeah.
Number 14, It, 2017.
Oh, that's fair.
I know it had a lot of fanfare. I never watched it.
I watched both of those, and I will say that I have extremely mixed feelings about that. I think that
I'm mixed. I'm fully
Tim
mixed on
Curry was the better. He was the better Pennywise. In
Skarsgård.
his general, yeah, exactly, yeah. But the CGI in the remakes was on point.
See, I don't
it
have-
was
I'm
genuinely
I'm gonna say
scary.
I'm a full mix on that.
Yeah.
Yes, he was the better portrayal of the character.
Who,
But-
Curry?
Pennywise.
Curry was.
Yeah, but those two modern movies, like CGI wise, I enjoyed them.
They were. I thought they were a little scary. The original
Yeah.
one didn't have like the fear in it for me.
See,
Though
I-
Tim Curry is a scary guy.
I never had too much love for it. Like I appreciate it.
I didn't
and
care
it's-
about it. I didn't
and
care about the
it's,
4 kids' traumas.
You know, fucking zeitgeist. But like the rest of it, I like it wasn't. I didn't care about it.
It would just Stand By Me with a scary clown. And I'm not
I
scared of
enjoyed
clowns.
Stand By Me more because there was no
Let's
aliens.
Let's not deep dive this. I give it a fair. Everybody feels fair
That's
on
fair,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Next. Let's do the next movie.
Number 13, Dune, 2021.
That's tough.
I mean, I guess it's better, but
It kind of is.
I was so fucking boring that I stopped watching.
Now, I do not believe that this is a list that's saying it's better than the original. Now, you guys are free to contemplate that on your own, but I think this is just a ranking of the best remakes, not better than the original.
I will say a short piece on Dune. I've read all the Dune.
Jesus.
No.
All 11 or so, whatever it is.
God bless.
25,000 pages.
The original movie, which was, what's his name that did that movie?
Sting?
No, well, Sting was in it.
A dream of rain.
Sting made that.
Hit those high notes, Dan.
Oh, no, Lynch.
David Lynch.
David Lynch did that movie. And it is so odd and peculiar.
That
and
if you
typical
put that in,
vaguely faithful.
if you put that in perspective, if it's David Lynch,
Now,
like, yeah,
in the late 90s, early 2000s, I can't remember exactly when, they did an actual, it might have been on like Sci-Fi or something, like a 5 or 6 part miniseries.
Yeah. No, that's correct.
Of like the first,
I've seen it.
whatever. It was a bunch, and that was pretty good because I, as a person that actually read the books, it was pretty good. And Dune's a story that takes place over like 5,000 years, so it's a whole fucking thing. Yeah. I do not hate the new Dune movies. I think there's some really good visual effects in
The
it.
visual effects are
oh, it
phenomenal.
was a beautiful movie.
And
I just
so
didn't care about the
far, at the rate they're going to have to do 15 movies to get this story done.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they do now.
It's Mr. Marvel
I
over
give
there.
respect. I give respect.
Marvel set the tone.
At least it lost the Lynchian kind of weirdness.
Yeah.
Did
But-
the book have that? That weirdness that Lynch put on it?
No,
Lynch
I
did
mean the
his own
book is
thing.
weird. The books are weird as fuck.
Yeah.
But Lynch has his very
Unique style
Unique
of
style.
The story,
cinematography,
the story
yeah.
itself is weird in that you're describing civilizations that are not related to humanity. So it includes
5,000 years in the future.
Yeah, it includes that they're describing these
Yeah.
cultures,
And these
cultures are
cultures-
very different from ours.
It's a Messiah
part of-
story, but it's also an engineered Messiah story.
Yeah,
And
it
then
sounds like Demolition Man.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Number 12, The Ring, 2002.
Oh,
The American
horror movie?
remake.
The American remake.
Are they saying
yes.
it's a
The Japanese
remake
version.
of Ringu?
The
right?
Japanese
Yeah,
version is way better.
Yeah.
The Japanese version is way better.
Japanese versions are typically better.
Often they're much better.
Oh, is old boy on that list? God damn
It
it!
has to be.
God damn it!
You gotta wait.
Yep.
Wait. Number 11, Cape Fear, 1991.
What? They remade
I didn't
Cape
realize
Fear?
they remade that.
No, this is the
Oh,
1991
Cape Fear,
version.
the one that
okay.
all right.
Oh, I forgot that was
You
a
know,
remake.
that was actually pretty good.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
Let's start. What's it called?
Julia Lewis and
Robert De Niro.
Robert De
Robert De
Niro.
Niro.
Yeah.
Robert
Yeah.
De Niro. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of his better roles.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to
Before the
search out
crack
the original
addiction
then.
fully took hold.
Before the Fockers.
I will have to search out the original.
All right, so they don't give the year for this, so I'll be more specific. Number 10, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is
The remake was terrible.
No.
This
Yeah,
is
the
no,
remake's
no, no, no,
terrible.
yeah,
No,
this is
no.
the one with John.
And they're remaking it again
Of course they are.
with
Why
Timothy
wouldn't they?
Chalamet as Willy Wonka.
Where do I know him from?
and again and again and again.
I know the name, but I can't.
He's the Messiah dude in Dune.
I feel like watching that
No.
remake is just it's
Was Johnny Depp not available? Because get him back then.
He's had some legal trouble.
It didn't look like it was that much
somebody
trouble.
shit in his bed. I don't know if you heard this.
I don't know. It's like you've never been to a party.
God, that's why I never
Whatever. They're
invited
going
to my
to keep
parties.
remaking that one.
Number 9, and I think some of us will have a good laugh at this one, Ocean's 11.
Nice.
Yeah, the Sinatra one wasn't great either, though.
No, it's a bad story.
Yeah.
It's a heist movie.
was
and
never
it's
a
been
good
done.
movie.
Yeah, just watch the movie Heat.
Because what they also did, like in the era of the remakes, they did like an Ocean's 12 and Ocean's like 13,
Which made no
14,
sense.
15, 16.
Yeah.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
they did. But
Ocean's 12 had Julia Roberts as it's a huge plot point. She's playing herself, but like playing someone else playing herself
Yep.
because she looks like Julia Roberts because she's Julia Roberts.
No, I
just-
hate it. I hate it when they do that.
They just did that in Black Mirror.
Ugh,
You still watch that?
Oh yeah, like, it's interesting.
that calls
There's-
for another shot of Jameson.
There's one or two episodes in
know what? I
that
might
season
need
that
one
are right, I guess.
Tell you
and then
what.
the rest are garbage.
Yeah.
Number 8, True Grit.
Oh, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed both of
Something
them.
there. Let's mix them. Ooh.
Clint Eastwood was like I also might be thinking of Gran Torino.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, that's the original True Grit was starring John Wayne.
John Wayne,
Yeah,
the Duke,
the original. Yeah.
the Duke, also giant piece of shit.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean, he was good
It's
in what
just
he
so
was
funny.
in.
As a weird little quick aside, I grew up. I was a latchkey kid. Both my parents worked, so I'd walk over to my aunt and uncles a lot. And my very Italian uncle by marriage loved spaghetti westerns, and he loved the Duke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How many?
about-
Oh, what the fuck was the movie I was just thinking of? Fuck, I can't think of it.
No, it's fine. Fair.
Oh, Josie Wells.
Josie Wells, yeah.
Oh, the outlaw Josie Wells.
Yeah,
I like that movie. Number 7, The Magnificent Seven.
That was the Netflix Tarantino thing, wasn't it? The
I think
remake.
it was Tarantino.
Well,
Or
wasn't that on Netflix?
He
Or
loves
was it an actual movie?
westerns. I don't know.
I think it was a movie.
Was it in theaters?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it was.
I don't know.
I thought it was just a movie on like Netflix
I think it
or
was.
whatever. But
Yeah.
It was fine. I enjoyed it, but
Yeah,
like,
fine.
Yeah.
Didn't need to be done, but
no,
fine.
no.
Number 6, A Star Is Born.
I don't know what that
is that?
is.
Is
Was that
about
Lady
Cher?
Gaga?
It was Lady Gaga
No,
and
I
Bradley
never
Cooper.
saw it. I know Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper vehicle.
Am I supposed to like Bradley Cooper? I hear
I think
women
you
say
should
that I'm
like
supposed
Bradley
to like
Cooper
him, but-
because he's all right. He's Rocket Raccoon. He's fucking great.
Yeah. I saw a movie that he was in called like The Cook or The Chef or something.
So I haven't seen the
pretty good.
original and I haven't seen that. So I
I
can't
got nothing
really-
on that one.
Bradley Cooper was like guys can make fun of this and it can also be a topic for another day.
Sure.
He was the weakest link in the A-Team movie, trying to play
Oh,
face.
he was
That's
face.
fair. No, that's
He was
fair.
face
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
the-
he was-
Nobody
yeah,
watched that
yeah,
except
yeah.
for us.
Yeah. Like they flew a tank,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the only one to top that was Fast and the
They
Fury.
spent $13 million
one of them.
making that movie, and they made $27 from all of us.
Yeah.
I saw
Fair.
it. I saw it
Fair.
twice, so it's more like
All right,
35.
fine, 32.
Number 5, Scarface.
They remade
That was remade.
What was that remade?
The one with Al Pacino is the remake from a 1932
Oh wow, I didn't
movie.
know that.
I didn't know it
I
was
would
a
like
movie.
to seek that movie out.
Yeah.
1932.
I did
Yeah,
not
that should
know
be
that.
interesting.
Number 4, The Mummy.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. We covered that.
All right, if I can just make a point about that, they're making a correlation between the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie and
Oh, that
original.
okay.
Yeah.
no,
Oh.
and the Tom Cruise Mummy.
No, they're not. This one on this list is The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser as the remake
Oh.
to the 1932 film.
All
right, that's where I was at.
No,
Yeah.
I'll
Is
allow
that
that.
who Boris Karloff or
Boris
Yeah.
Karloff,
Yeah.
I just want to, side note, I just love Dan's response to you. No.
Well, I mean, because I
Just
was
an
reading
immediate
shit
dead
earlier.
stop right there.
I forgot about that for Brendan Fraser
Yeah.
Mummy for a minute
Because I
of that
also
other
see the comparison between the Tom Cruise vehicle I mentioned earlier
Oh, that's terrible, yeah.
and
Yeah, that's
the-
where I was going.
But I feel like they're different things.
You
felt
can't
like
compare
Brendan
Universal
Fraser
monsters to...
that
was-
really wasn't
they're their own
anything.
thing.
It
not
was just-
connected to that universe.
They're separated by way more time.
Number 3, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
There's never really been a great because that was terrible. That also had Keanu in it with Winona Ryder and Gary Oldman. The remake, or the remake, I assume
Yeah,
you're
the
talking
remake,
about.
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
there's
that's
1,000 fucking Dracula remakes.
In this one, they reference the 1931 original
I'm gonna be
Dracula.
The
all right,
Bela
for
Lugosi-
me, and
That's
this
totally
is
different.
full disclosure. I have not seen that 1931.
I have,
but
yeah.
like I watch like old like Nosferatu and shit like that, and I really
No
enjoyed-
copyright infringement there. Totally
Right,
different thing.
Exactly right. But like I did very much enjoy the one more so for like Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that movie when it came
Yeah.
out. I very much did.
Honestly, like, if you're putting forth a serious effort, unlike some of these other remakes that we're talking about, it's hard to fuck up Dracula.
Yeah.
You really need
But
to
that
go
Dracula
off the
kind
rails.
of did.
But I enjoyed the imagery of that movie.
Well, the
Exactly.
imagery was
It's very good
the
imagery.
cinematography.
You love
aside,
Interview with a Vampire, which
Yeah,
is
that's
the
a
same
fucking great
thing.
fucking. That's a great fucking movie.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying.
I do like that movie.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Dracula.
No.
They don't even bring him up.
It's
It's a vampire movie, Moses.
Let's not get that deep on an Anne Rice vampire story.
Number 2, The Fly.
Oh.
They remake. Well, I
Yeah,
know there
because
was
the original was in the 1950s, and the
was
remake
it?
was with Jeff
Vincent
Goldblum.
Price?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vincent Price,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
The remake is, I think,
I
better.
think it's great. Yeah.
The remake is better. I love Vincent Price, but movies from the Vincent Price era are not hyper
Slow
relatable.
and-
The
Yeah.
Vincent Price, The Fly, is him still in a suit with a fly head and pincher fucking
Yeah, and so
gloves
we go
on.
back to the CGI thing. I was pointing out the
Yeah.
visual effects do matter. With
This is
some of
weird
these
because
things.
Yeah.
flies don't have pinchers.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well, I don't know
but-
enough about flies to confirm
Right.
that.
Oh, I'm a raccoon.
The Jeff Goldblum vehicle, The Fly, I very much enjoyed.
Yeah, Sprundlefly is heads and tails above.
Number 1, and we mentioned this earlier, The Thing.
Oh, that's his number one.
Wow.
Was
Evil Dead not out yet?
You got to be careful.
How old is this list, Dan?
Yeah. Now, you got to understand who's making these lists.
Yeah.
This was updated in May 30th of 2023.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
so there you go.
was out, yeah.
Suck on that, Moses.
And then, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, they're wrong.
What is the title of this list?
Best modern remakes of classic movies ranked.
There you go.
Number
Everybody suck a
one
dick.
is the remake of The Thing?
Number
Let's
1.
all watch that film together as a family because I have so many things to say about it.
My
and
God,
from what
I
I
hate
understand,
family.
no one's
I hate
watched
family.
it. But I have watched it.
Number 1 is The Thing with Kurt Russell.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know there was one before
that's
that.
a horse of a different color.
Yeah.
So all this has really taught me is that I got to do some research into some old fucking movies.
There's a lot of thoughts that I didn't consider going
Yeah.
into this because I didn't know they were remakes.
That doesn't sound like you did not consider some other thoughts.
No, that's.
Shut up.
I don't usually do it.
Let me ask you guys one quick question before we wrap.
Please.
What was missing from that list?
I didn't hear Fury
Little
Road.
Mermaid.
I'm gonna die on
I
that
didn't
hill.
hear...
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast?
I don't know. I
wasn't
didn't think you were listening
terrible.
to me, so I was just
I
yelling.
mean, Beauty and the Beast wasn't bad, but
I saw that on another list. I wouldn't put that up there because I...
Oh,
literally-
Top Gun?
Top Gun is not a
It's
remake.
not a remake, it's a continuation.
Sequel.
Yeah.
Remakes, shit.
Not yet, Dan.
Well, you said Evil Dead.
yeah.
So-
It's the hill I'll die
Yeah.
on because.
Yeah. Also mentioned before, Old Boy.
Oh, well, no, that new one was garbage.
No, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The new one was
I,
great.
That new one was garbage.
I really like him, but
Yeah. I wanted to like it, but I just can't.
You can't remake it because the basically the Korean temperament in terms of like the cultural thing that they're looking for in a film is intrinsically different from what Americans are
It's
looking
why
for.
Red Dawn didn't. The
Yeah.
sequel didn't work because
Well,
like
I mean, I don't know if I agree with that entirely, but what I was going to say is, as far as revenge films go, Eastern cultures are about like this like visceral, gritty revenge
yeah.
that American films sometimes used to include, but you don't see it anymore. American films typically
No, that
include a
era's gone
happy
here.
ending.
Yeah.
the last
And-
one was
yeah.
like what? Payback.
Wow, maybe.
Oh, fuck you.
So I was
That's what I'm
mistaken.
looking
I
for.
actually was alluding to the original 2003 movie. I thought it was a remake. It is not.
Okay.
So that was my mistake.
Interesting. I just feel suddenly inspired in a moment, and like it's gonna be very quick. If you have not seen Ichi the Killer, go search that out and watch it.
God,
Oh, that
that's
is
a
a good
great
movie,
fucking
yeah.
film. Yeah.
Has nothing to do with remakes or anything, but like
Yeah, it's
bringing
just
up
its own
Old
movie.
Boy
Yeah.
just stirred that moment. Watch
Yeah.
Ichi the Killer.
Yeah. Nobody makes a revenge film better than basically it's really just Japan and Korea.
Japan.
They make revenge films fantastically. They pull no punches with it.
No,
they
it
can
co-
have
and-
the sad ending, but it's always a revenge film.
Yeah.
And I feel
No,
like
you don't
that-
get, and I like that. I feel like we've become so like it's just the nature of like our culture now. It's like no one is willing to tolerate
or
anything
movies.
but a happy ending.
Even when we make a revenge film, Americans, Hollywood, whatever you want to call it, when we make a revenge film, it's never a revenge film because it always ends with the guy getting the girl. It always has that positive ending. Whereas that Eastern film, Japanese, Korean,
Yeah.
whatever it may
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
it doesn't end with them getting what they wanted.
No, it ends with the end of their story.
Yeah, it ended with them getting the revenge that they needed. And that's a really big difference. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And I love it for that because, like, here, like, in Western culture, the way we do movies is that, like, they're always, like, systematically, there's always got to be, like, a good feeling at the end of the movie.
I don't
and
need
it's
the
like,
good feeling because the
No.
story that you're telling me for 2 fucking hours is a tragic, terrible story.
Because every
So I don't
day
need it
does
to all
not
work out.
end with a good feeling.
No, exactly. Sometimes you go to sleep tired and angry. That's a thing. That's a real life scenario.
But it's like, it's the realest thing. And that's why I mean, Japan, as you said, Japan does it so well.
They do, yeah.
They do, like, they still do a lot of stuff that has to deal with honor, and honor doesn't always end with happy
No,
feelings.
exactly, yeah. Sometimes you just achieve your very limited goal.
Right.
Vengeance.
Right.
But you don't get what you actually wanted. And that's
then
okay.
Something,
You know?
ultimately terrible. I mean, and they're very good at the cut to black.
Oh, yeah.
With, like, the facial realization of, like, what's next is going to
Yeah.
be horrific.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they leave you wanting a little bit. But, I mean, again, film cinematography should be something of a relationship back to real life in some degree or another.
Yeah.
And they still capture that. I love that.
I think it's interesting. We're on the note of Japan, but we are going to wrap.
Yeah.
We talked about remakes for quite a bit of amount of time, and we never even mentioned any of these remakes happening in video games because those are all over the place.
Before, during today, I was thinking about that. I had to keep shoving that out of my head.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different thing.
But the one thing I would like to essentially close on is if you're going to remake, it makes more sense to remake a video game because there's more technology now to make it better, the gameplay different, this, that, and the other thing.
Systems change, yeah.
Especially if you're like remaking a game from like the 16-bit or 32-bit.
Well, I mean, absolutely. And like a common work time on a game these days is like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But with movies, it almost seems like there's no reason to do it at all other than lack of creativity, lack of ideas.
No, they're trying to cash in on the nostalgia.
Yeah, because you can look at some of these effects, like in Jurassic World,
Yeah.
they look inferior to Jurassic Park from 1994.
Yeah.
So the technology might be better, but it's
Doesn't
also
necessarily
used,
make it better.
Yeah, it only translates in some ways. Sometimes you could make it better back then with real life effects, and then other times you just couldn't do it with The Earth Stood Still. Is that the name?
The Day of the Earth.
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
With that, you really couldn't do what you needed to do to recreate the original story. So the remake carries with it that basically just modern technology. You're able to recreate
There's a new
story.
Indiana Jones coming in the theaters right now
thank God.
with a fucking 80-year-old Harrison Ford at the helm.
80 years young.
Yeah, and that's already not looking great too.
No.
That movie cost a lot of money, and they're gonna have to
Cost
make
a shit ton of money.
and they're gonna have to make like at least 3 times that back.
I mean,
It can't all be Firewall. It can't be Firewall.
Listen,
too.
he's got a lot of money, but he keeps crashing airplanes into fucking golf courses. You know,
but he
it's-
can afford to.
Imagine that. Like, what?
If
Why
I
are you
was that
broke?
age
It's
and if
not
I
that
was
I bought too many
Harrison Ford-
whiskeys this week. I crashed an airplane into a golf course.
what you do for
I owe like
fun.
$3 million.
It's funny, I just keep surviving.
Yeah. Shockingly.
But ultimately, that lack of authenticity in, the effects and all that stuff, that's the thing in a movie that we mentioned. We were kind of thinking before, that's what I was talking about, the Thing remake. It looked less scary because of all the computer animated nonsense that went into it.
There is still if you have the budget of like the big studios, say like the high-end Marvel movies, you can put a lot of money. Basically, visual effects come down to the amount of money that you can put
It's a money
towards
game.
them.
Yeah.
You can have incredible visual effects if you have millions upon millions.
If you
dollars.
have-
Some
no
of those Marvel
soul-
movies aren't fucking like.
No,
the
and
special
no.
effects are pretty shitty.
If you
and
have
that's
no
exactly
soul to back up those effects,
Right.
then you still will just have an action movie. And if
it's-
you were trying to recreate something that was a beautiful, complex action drama, whatever, and all that you can do is create an action movie, that's all that you fucking got, which is a shit film by comparison.
And that's why I feel like of one of the few that we put out as good, Mad Max Fury Road, they did a lot of work to try to maintain the soul of that style.
The authenticity of the filming of the original.
Yeah.
All right, with that, gentlemen, I think we're done here.
Yeah.
I'm never done.
Well,
Shut up, Davenport.
It's Davenport that we get out of here.
That's the hat trick right there.
Oh, salesman.
By the way, correction. You Got the Touch is not performed by Rush. It's performed by Stan Bush.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for giving us that information.
I will not have.
Everybody was wondering.
I will not have Rush besmirched on this podcast.
No.
Well-
Not allowed.
Well, boys and girls, glad that you joined us. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can also follow us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Locals. If you enjoyed this podcast, then think about contributing to us on Locals. So, Moses, closing thoughts.
I just would like to congratulate you on your promotion from producer to host.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Well, yeah, it's not really a promotion. I was always the host.
All right.
You know what? You were a little less of an agent of chaos in this one, so I won't bust your balls. Justin, closing thoughts.
2 claps for Moses.
Oh, they are.
Good job.
I need a shot.
Listen, the world will try to abuse all the things you love and hold dear. Just, don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Hold on to the things you like, and, well, everything's taken, so fuck off.
Love yourself.
Have a drink.
Love yourself.
This is a Davenport closing. What are your thoughts?
I am Jimmy Davenport. That's it.
All right. So, Davenport, what are your thoughts on iglooing?
Oh my God!
Shut up!
Hold
shut
on,
up.
let me show you. Turn these mics
Cut the
off.
track. Cut the track.
Nope. Muting all of you now. So, for Moses, Justin, and Mr. Jim Davenport, I am your host, Dan Legendson. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, this is Loud and Drunk.